Can we talk before, because I don't want to transit. We were going to talk about Garbiñe Muguruza, who I have a couple of thoughts. We're going to get to that, and Jon, I think I'm suspecting he's going to spiral that because I've seen his social media the last couple of days on the conversation about Hall of Fame and how that affects her and yada yada yada. Rafa has entered another event post French Open. Jon, is that correct?
I think we're allowed to. You know, I was told
I read it online an hour ago, so
I know,
we have to be allowed.
I'm like,
it's official.
So whatever. We play by the rules here. I was told it was embargoed and I wasn't allowed to say anything. I didn't. Somehow it ended up on the socials. That's okay. More Spanish tennis. I tell you, this is when we ought to. I hope we have some sort of licensing deal with Spain. But yeah, you want to stick with Rafa, and he. I guess it's out there now, but apparently over the weekend he agreed to play Laver Cup in Berlin. Interesting move. Here, everyone has been speculating that whether he has to die. I don't know if you saw some of his quotes about playing Roland Garros. Those were rather dramatic. I think we all worked on the assumption this would be Roland Garros would be it, but apparently Rafa has committed to play Laver Cup. I don't know how big a deal that is. I mean, you can commit to a lot of things. It doesn't mean you're necessarily in a position to fulfill it. It did harken back to Roger Federer's retirement too, so there's a nice little bit of symmetry. Maybe, you know, let's hope Rafa goes and plays and wins decisive matches playing top tier tennis. This may also be sort of a glorified ceremony, who knows? But I do think it is significant. It kind of, in a way, it takes some pressure off of him, doesn't it? I mean, we were talking a couple of weeks ago. Imagine going out for that last French Open, knowing it could be your last match. Everybody's keeping their tickets stub. Your son's there. Maybe it gives him a little bit of a mental cushion to say, listen, I've already committed to this event in September, so don't trot out my retirement ceremony yet. A little bit of a strange, I put that, if weird is one of our sub-themes today, I would put this announcement, it's a little weird, but I don't know. I mean, you tell me, are you, now that it's out there and there's no apparent embargo anymore, Rafa to Berlin, are you surprised to see that press release?
Yeah. Very surprised. I was surprised when I first saw it, and you had, underneath the cloak of secrecy, we had our producer Mike served kind of when we talk about shows, and you were a late entry basically saying we could talk about it because this won't air until a day later. So technically that would be okay under your sports journalist ethics lesson that you've put on with this restraint on the Rafa news. It was weird. At first, I was very surprised until I kind of started marinating on it a little bit this morning. So, one, Laver Cup is one of the best things I've ever seen in tennis because they can create their own matchups. They understand it's an event for the fans. They can put Roger Federer in a doubles match on one leg and control that. And it's not, a tournament where you're at the mercy of someone upsetting whatever your best rating is. It's the first event I've ever seen in tennis that starts with what would be the absolute best for fan experience and how it presents on TV, and then works towards creating this pride system. Obviously, they have the budgets to bring in the players, and they've created a unique, differentiated event. Whereas when I first heard about it, I'm like, here's another one of these stupid, dumb things that's going to take up, and I was wrong. Completely and 100% wrong. The video they get of people talking strategy and actually the other players getting in, and the Rafas and the Rogers and the Borgs and the Max, and I love it. In the in-house view and the players actually, getting into it. I had an argument with John Isner about it like 8 years ago. And because I was a Davis Cup homer, and he's like, this is going to be bigger. And I'm like, you're out of your fucking mind. I'll tell you when I'm right about something, and I have no pride at all about when I'm wrong about something. I was 1,000% wrong. Now, you can commit to Laver Cup, and you can play doubles. That's not the same as entering the U.S. Open and playing 3 out of 5 sets 7 times over 14 days. Roger had an unbelievable send-off. It wasn't what he wanted, right? He wanted to play Wimbledon again. He wanted to play the biggest tournaments again. He wanted to go around the world and say goodbye. I think he still wants to do that at some point. But the ability to curate a moment, because you control the entire lever of scheduling, videos, players that come and watch. Rafa, I don't think, was going to play Laver Cup the year that Roger retired, and then all of a sudden he's like, I'm not going to miss this thing. You're out of your mind. I'm going to go pay my respects.
Let me wait. Yeah. I like your phrase. Tell me where I'm wrong here.
Sure.
I think Roger meant a lot to him that Rafa attended. Remember,
Yes.
Rafa's wife was pregnant at the time.
Yes.
So you mentioned Roger playing one last match. He's, physically compromised to the extreme. He plays doubles. Who does he play doubles with? Rafa. It's this great poetic ending. He's on the same side as his longtime rival. Is it crazy talk? You know where my mind went when I saw that press release? Is it crazy talk to think that we have some symmetry and Rafa's last match on a tennis court is alongside, who do they trot out north of age 40, not having played a sanctioned match in 2 years? Who do they trot out to play with Rafa? Do you think we might get a Roger Rafa doubles remixed for Rafa's last match?
I don't know. We're guessing. So I have zero. I say some things in this show that normally they're based in some sort of conversation, experience, knowing the characters we're talking about, knowing their instincts, knowing what makes them tick. This is pure bullshit fandom speculation that we're having right now. I wouldn't bet on it. Also, it wouldn't be the most shocking thing that I've ever seen in the history of the world, right? So I don't think it'll happen, but you don't know. This makes it, I think it makes it more likely, we see is it Novak, or is it they've played more times than Rafa and Roger have? Is it a official passing of the torch to Alcaraz? Is he the partner? He's already signed up for, but I guess you're making the point kind of that this is a great event for him to sign up for. If he can't play it, he can't play it. Laver Cup wins by him saying he's going to play it. And it's kind of if he does it, and this is the last place he plays and he plays doubles, they're kind of creating this place where we can basically curate your goodbye. Like we'll let, we'll make the entire weekend and honor our champions and do the whole thing. And that's kind of a cool identity too. Like that's really cool. They have the ability to pull the levers to make it an unbelievable, unique experience for Rafa. He doesn't have to be in shape to play either 2 sets of singles. I mean, that's what he did in Vegas. He played 2 sets of singles and a breaker. That's what they do there, right? Or play doubles, which is like, Rafa will run more in the locker room before he plays that match than he will on the court, right? Like, so I thought it was crazy town until I actually started thinking through it, right? Like, he is going to leave it out there at Roland Garros. They're probably going to, huddle up. Hopefully it doesn't end in some massive blowout injury. It sounds like he is just going to let it rip, Tater Chip, which is great. I mean, what he said and what you mentioned, like, I'm going to die for that. Like, it sounds dramatic, but that's kind of the mentality that you would have.
Right.
If you were him, he's just being honest about it.
You make the point. It's also the complete antithesis of Laver Cup, right? They can pull the levers, as you say, or pull the levers, as the dad joke might be inclined to say. I mean, they can do what they have to do. They can also spare him the humiliation, right? So part of it is a great send-off, but also we are not going to put you in a situation where you are embarrassed. You are not going to go out there. You're compromised. You're not going to lose, 1-1 to Taylor Fritz. So in a way, I think this kind of makes sense. It takes a little bit of pressure off Rafa. Look, it's not my last match. I've already committed to September, and he knows singles, doubles with Roger fancifully, more realistically with not, but he's not going to be humiliated in his last official match. And that probably, that's not irrelevant.
Yeah. And one more little kind of tie-in, and I'm not comparing, so just don't take this the wrong way like some of you do. My last tournament that I ever played, the US Open, obviously different from Laver Cup, but I retired early in that event, had another week that I won, survived, did all that stuff. One of my favorite parts about that week was passing people in a hallway them knowing I'm gone forever, me knowing I'm gone forever, and actually settling into a nice conversation and a goodbye. If you're Rafa and you've been playing all of these guys for so long and you're their idol and they've looked up to you and you've had these experiences, you've had these battles, how nice is it to have 4 or 5 days to say goodbye? Right? Like, and the fans that are going to buy at Berlin are going to buy that ticket. It's similar to Vegas. Like I did the Netflix special. Those were Rafa fans who thought he was never going to play stateside again. They could be right. I would guess he's not going to play the US Open. You're going to get that in Berlin. I thought it was crazy town when you texted. I'm like, there's no fucking way he's going to like play Laver Cup after the French Open. Like, and then I started thinking about it and it makes a lot of sense. Oh, and by the way, he just might get paid for it.
Well, I mean, in the Amazon has the documentary for Federer's retirement. It's all based around Laver Cup in 12 days. I'm sure he saw that and he was like, wow, this is a good way to go out. Maybe it'll be a documentary that comes out of it too.
Like, that's the most producer take that I've ever heard on anything is how do we get content?
I mean, it's 100% what they're going to do. I guarantee Federer's doc comes out right before this Laver Cup and boom.
I mean, if Roger shows up, I almost hope because Roger could exist and he could pass off practices like I just wanted to hit with my friend again, like very easily, and then don't announce the lineups. Just have him fucking walk out with Rafa. Can you imagine?
Daniel LaRussa is going to fight.
I have goosebumps. I literally have legit goosebumps just talking about it right now.
I can see him.
If I see those two just cruise down for like another hit, and oh my God, how good that would be. I had not thought about it yet, John, and now you're saying it, and it's your fault when I'm disappointed.
Should we book a trip to Berlin?
I think I would go to see that. Yeah, I think I would.
John, would you leave your hostage center to come join us?
I would go to Berlin's a cool town too, but
blink twice if you can go.
Well, that would be, it only makes sense that these guys who have been yoked together, these guys have been bracketed together their whole careers would go out the same way.
The one little thing that I just want to throw into this is like, does Novak deserve to be like sharing in these goodbyes also? Like that's.
Are you trying to start something?
No, I'm not. I'm trying to be I'm trying to do a pot like. Either way, it's going to be like, why didn't you talk about him being in it? Or, oh, you brought him up at the last minute. There's no win. So I'm over trying. Like, as a fan, I'm also wondering, like, I would love, Laver Cup can make up their own rules. What if Rafa played a set with each and said, fuck it. Like, I don't care about the rules. Like, do it. Like, we can get a sign off from the captains. Like a waiver. That would be amazing. That would be so cool. Anyways, neither here nor there, but it is cool. Anytime more Rafa, when we expect less Rafa, good times.